Supergiant Games Hades officially launched on September 17, 2020, and the world became a better place. No, that is not an exaggeration. Originally released in early access via the Epic Games Store in December 2018, the fast-paced indie roguelike dungeon crawler was met with near universal praise, garnering multiple Game of the Year nominations and wins from publications and award shows alike. But if you're ride or die for PlayStation or Xbox only, chances are you've just started to dip your toes in the river Styx following the game's launch on those consoles earlier this month. And if constantly dying at the end of a Fury's Whip has got you thinking about hanging up your sword and resigning yourself to a life pushing papers for your in-game dad, don't despair, because we've got 5 tips to help you escape the Underworld and make you feel like you're playing on easy mode. Building relationships with the other characters you encounter both during your escape attempts and while you're hanging out at the House of Hades between runs is key to aiding you in your eventual escape. Giving nectar found as a reward for clearing rooms in the Underworld, turning in fish you've caught to the head chef, or obtained from the wretched broker via item exchange to characters will raise your affinity with them. The first time you give a nectar to someone, they will give you a keepsake, which Zagreus can equip for a variety of effects. 2 keepsakes that are easy to obtain and extremely helpful early on are the Old Spiked Collar and Lucky Tooth, obtained from Cerberus and Skelly respectively. The Old Spiked Collar will grant you plus 25 HP and can be leveled up to plus 50, while the Lucky Tooth gives you an instance of Death Defiance, Hades' version of an extra life. In the early stages of the game, taking every little boost can get you a very long way. When escaping the Underworld, the dash button is your best friend. You don't have a very high life total, and opportunities to restore your HP are few and far between, so avoiding getting hit is key to survival. However, dash about willy-nilly and you could find yourself impaled upon a spiked trap panel or leaping directly into the path of an oncoming wretched lout. Enemies in each level of the Underworld repeat throughout the chambers and have predictable attack patterns. For example, the aforementioned wretched louts in Tartarus spawn, move slowly, and then dash towards Zagreus to deal a walloping 8 damage, which is a lot when you're only working with 50 HP in the beginning. However, they lock into a direction and raise their arms whenever they're about to charge, so you can see when they're about to lunge at you and dash out of the way. Take time to get to know the enemy attack patterns and take advantage of the fact that you're going to get a lot of repetition fighting the same enemies over and over again, so you'll have plenty of opportunities to study and refine. Bosses all have a limited set of attacks as well, and strong tells to indicate what they're about to unleash on you, and learning to recognize these will help you navigate how best to avoid them. For example, Meg's volley attack is actually easier to dodge by just running around between the gaps and dashing at key points rather than constantly. The Bone Hydra has similar attacks that can be avoided a few different ways, including hovering close to the main head or making use of the pillars to provide cover. Of course, actually, you know what? Forget it. We wouldn't want to spoil the fun of you discovering that for yourself. Throughout his escape attempts, Zagreus receives aid from his relatives on Mount Olympus in the form of boons, which grant a variety of effects and upgrades. Boons are essential to powering up in order to take on the minions of the Underworld, and ultimately, different boons are better for different weapons and playstyles, particularly the ones that add additional power and status curses to your main attack and special. It's generally a good idea to focus on collecting boons of 2 or 3 gods in order to increase your chances of stacking attack damage, finding boons like Artemis Support Fire, which requires you to already have another Artemis boon, or duo boons, the result of possessing a combination of boons from 2 different gods. However, there are a few that are super helpful to pick up or know about if you're in a pinch, no matter what build you're going for. For example, early on, Athena's Divine Dash, which deals damage and also deflects enemy attacks while you dash, is a literal godsend. Athena also offers a boon, Deathless Stand, which can replenish or grant you 1 instance of Death Defiance. Dionysus's After Party replenishes your HP to between 30 and 60% depending on the rarity if it's low at the end of an encounter, and Strong Drink restores all of your HP when drinking from fountains. Aphrodite has a boon called Life Affirmation, which increases the potency of healing items and the HP boost you get from obtaining Centaur Hearts. Poseidon's Hydraulic Might increases the power of your attack and special for the first 10 seconds of an encounter. Plus, his call turns you into an impervious damage-dealing typhoon, and that's just neat. Also bear in mind that Hermes doesn't count towards your overall god total when it comes to the probability of finding duo or legendary boons. And once you've taken Hypersprint, which briefly makes you sturdy, which means you take 30% less damage and you're unable to be interrupted, and run 100% faster after you dash, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. And don't sleep on Side Hustle or pass up on obols as chamber rewards, because shopping saves lives, specifically yours. If Charon's shop comes up as a reward, you should basically always take it, even if you don't have enough money to shop. The reason? no enemy encounters. Every level of the Underworld has a set number of rooms you must clear before you reach the boss and move on to the next, and Charon's shop counts as one of them. And if you do have obols to spare, you could potentially heal yourself and pick up an extra boon or two, depending on what the ferryman is offering. Hades is way more fun if you accept that you're going to and are actually supposed to die. A lot. Like, it's pretty normal for it to take 20 plus attempts to finally actually escape the Underworld. But that's okay because the game rewards you for dying. Yes, you go back down to your baseline HP and you don't get to keep any of your fancy boons. However, you do get to keep whatever darkness you collect, which allows you to level up your talents in the Mirror of Night and gain permanent ability and stat upgrades. Pro tip, eventually you'll unlock multiple versions of each talent, so don't forget to switch between them and figure out which one best suits your weapon and playstyle. You also keep gems, which you can give to the house contractor to make upgrades to the Underworld and the house, and nectar, which, as previously discussed, you can give to other characters to grow closer to them. The gameplay itself is absolutely fantastic and so addicting, but a big part of what earned Hades its well-deserved accolades is the story, which is mainly driven by interaction with the compelling characters between escape attempts. Seeing Dusa go full shoujo anime with hearts and sparkles every time Zag is around, or hearing Achilles quietly mourn his lost love is just as thrilling as finally sticking it to Meg and charging straight to your accidental death in the lava and asphodel. Also, if you want to turn on God mode for any reason at all, do it. The game literally tells you to. It's fine. Nobody's going to judge you. That's that, little godlings. Follow these 5 pieces of wisdom and soon you'll find that you are escaping the Underworld on easy mode. Say hi to your mom for us. And remember, death is only the beginning. Wait, that's the wrong mythology.